On Monday, I was on the Rio Grande in a in a Border Patrol speedboat, looking at the options and alternatives to a border wall. A few weeks ago, the Homeland Security Committee, with major opposition, voted a $15 billion allotment for a border wall. Now, before I continue that story, let me offer my appreciation to Sheila Thomas for really the leadership that she is now showing, and as well the service that she gave to our nation. I will speak more about her and her new leadership, but I'm delighted to be able to see all of you on a Thursday afternoon in a very, very important meeting. You managed to escape past concerts and various other enticements, and you got into this room. I almost was shocked to see the size of this room, so I think you need to give yourselves a very big hand. You can do better than that. I like noise. Give yourselves a very big hand. No, that's not big enough. Nobody's clapping. Give yourselves a very big hand. I love that. Dr. Leonard, it's certainly wonderful to see you and to see Nick. He's very careful in his words. Didn't have a hook, but I said, my office is waiting for your appearance. He's done an excellent job in serving the nation and somewhere, and I'm very grateful for his service. So give him a very big hand as well. I want to share with you the finish of that story. I remember some years back when we were looking at the border in my early years on Homeland Security, we came upon a discovery that our Border Patrol agents didn't have technology. At that time, we were talking about laptops. I think we preceded iPads, night goggles, lights, the rough terrain vehicles. So we were making our way. But what we have found is that the idea of technology is key in security. And so it certainly is shocking when we have a markup that has a $15 billion for a wall. I see in this room creative thinkers. But I was on the border on Monday. Yesterday, I was standing with 10,000 of Hurricane Harvey survivors online for getting a federal program called Disaster Supplemental Nutrition. Because of the awkwardness of county government in Texas, rather than having a number of sites, we had one site in a park that had a 2-lane road. The constituents were in their cars for 3 hours, and then they had to get online to line up to be able to access. Now, I know you'll say why we couldn't do it online. It was crafted because they said that online creates too much potential for fraud. But in the course of people online, an 85-year-old passed away. That is what we deal with as public servants confronting the realities of life. And so today you find me here in Washington because one cannot say no to Sheila. And I will be back in those lines again tomorrow, dealing with those constituents. Why do I give this sort of array of the ups and downs of public service? Because I believe in the key element of the engagement of the American people in running and serving their government. And so, Sheila, as the Vice President of TriCorps, who has done such a great job, and I don't know whether TriCorps folk are here, but I can't thank them enough on behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And they are looking right at them. And I have to speak a little later. You have to call me back. I'm doing a phone speech, and I hope I was not on voicemail. I hope I was not on the microphone. And I have another speech to make down to Houston by way of telephone. Technology, all right? Give technology a big hand. I hope we improve this. I'm not Skyping, I'm just be talking. But it's good to see Tricor, and I thank them for their leadership. But the reason why I started with the framework of this story is that this is managing the government. The TSAN program is a federal program, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And a few years back on Hurricane Ike, there was online, or there was a phone call in. I don't know what the elements of ceasing to have a program that might have some fraud in it, which warrants people online. About 10 days ago, thousands were wrapped around a shopping center. I managed to secure extra days because we are a 4 million plus county, and I knew that some folk had been left out. So we will finish tomorrow, and I've checked the weather. It will be raining tomorrow. This is an outdoor park with no coverage until they get into a covered pavilion. But they will be there. So what does that mean for all of you? Creativity is an important part of doing business. And in this room, there are ideas. And in this room, with people of color, there are ideas. And so, as I recognize each and every one of you to talk about the engagement in business in the federal government, it is about ideas. But I do want to make mention of Tracy Townsend, former Border Patrol agent and immigration and customs enforcement agent managing cases, who now represents Tricor Industries as Vice President of Business Development, and also both of whom these individuals I've met, Elizabeth L. Natter, CEO of Tricor Industries, who I know is a transformational leader in the information technology industry and who's committed to a diverse and operational culture of excellence and a diverse workforce. I do want to make note of the fact that Elizabeth believes that companies like Tricor are not built based on the bottom line, they're built on people. That is what is in this room, they're people. I fully believe that your insight into the government procurement process is key and important. Elizabeth, for example, in Tricor, the leadership team, they understand what to do, but they understand that people help build companies. And more importantly, to make sure that they are committed to diversity, which started me on this journey in terms of DHS procurement, Department of Justice procurement. I'm on the budget committee, and I know the fine lines of the basis upon which members of Congress can query in the most appropriate manner. I know the ways that you can ask questions to be guided in the most appropriate manner. And I believe our government leaders who are in the agencies can engage with you with no ethical problems at all. So it is clearly instructive for you to be here tonight. And it is clearly instructive to recognize what members of Congress can do. The border wall. Going down to the border on Monday, listening to Border Patrol agents on the ground. I now know that the virtual wall is possible, that options are possible, that different size structures or barriers are possible. Now, I've been to the border many, many times. I live in Texas. I've been on Homeland Security for a very long time, but you need to update yourself. You won't hear that discussion in Washington, but what are you potential entrepreneurs and procurement recipients are? If you are doing the research, you may have alternatives. There are people already out on the RFP. Or you may have a better way to do the DSNAP program, a better way for FEMA registration, which has just gotten extended because we are still in Hurricane Harvey recovery. There's some naysayers who are saying these are people with their hand out, but the federal government, under this president, extended our ability to get a FEMA registration number for a longer period of time. Disasters create opportunities for good business. Sadly, 80% of Puerto Rico is without power. Where are the thinkers? Where are the business persons? Is the government not reaching out to the bright people in this room? There's a volunteer, she said, is the technology of power so strained that there cannot be an improvement to this date of power in Puerto Rico, or power in the U.S. Virgin Islands, or in Hurricane Ike, when we were out for 6 weeks in Houston, Texas, without power? People lose when you don't have power. And I know there's a combination of individuals working with companies like Tricor or others that can be effective. And so it's important for Congress to ask these hard questions and agency representatives to be open to doing things above board and appropriate, but reaching out to a wide array of vendors, entrepreneurs, scientists. I've become an aficionado of cybersecurity. I'm on the cybersecurity committee. I've made that one of my specialties. Because I'm also on judiciary, the ranking member of the Criminal Justice Committee. We're getting ready to reauthorize the legislation dealing with the FISA courts, which, as you well know, deals with the ability to wiretap. It's a very sensitive issue, but it's technology mixed with the Constitution. There should be more people from this community involved in the security of this nation. It is a ripe and viable place to be. I want to thank Darren Peters for his leadership on the many issues that we are working on. I want to acknowledge my Chief of Staff that's in the room, Glenn Rushing, and Isabella, who is on my staff. But I guess if my message is such, it is that there is a pathway to opportunity, and one of the things that I am so proud of is that 7 years ago, with Nick's willingness, we developed the Meet and Match, where large corporations and government agencies came to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and I was not even an officer, a board member, and we began to match corporations and government with small businesses. Opportunities that they would have never had. And the word match, can I spell it for you? Mary A-T-C-H, Mary M-A-T-C-H. We had matches. People walked away with relationships. I just met with a corporation on another issue, and they wanted to volunteer to me that they would be working with one of those individuals that they met and they're now matching. So, in between the deep web and the dark web, confronting these issues in cybersecurity, the new education responsibilities, working with the Department of Education, advising them how they need to get out front of teaching some of these cyber issues in education, or providing opportunity for grants to come. But more importantly, dealing with what you could be involved in on cybersecurity on DHS, but cybersecurity in the upcoming elections, to block the tampering with Americans' elections, the sanctity of that process. Where is that partnership? We are frightened in our state. So I can't say more about the talent in this room, the intellect in this room, the creativity in this room, and the value of the array of federal agencies that would benefit from the work that you do, benefit from Tricor, benefit from companies here. And I hope that it is well known that serving in the United States Congress in the People's House is a job to represent the people. The way you do that is to provide a pathway of information and direction to work legally and with insight on these important issues. And if someone is standing behind me, they need to step from behind me.
Only me. Homeland Security.
I'm in intelligence. I don't have anybody standing behind me. I never know who that may be. I couldn't catch who it was. Thank you, Nick. You're over to the right side. I'm glad that most of the people in the room, some people like looking like this, but thank the ones who are laughing, because it is a good joke. And I'm coming to a close. This kind of thing excites me about small businesses. I really appreciate you all. And I think I'm just going to say this as I close. Everybody was talking about getting restoration and getting everybody back on their feet. And I did this before. I wrote down about 2 weeks ago now, like a business strip. And it really hit me that all the small businesses were out. They were, there were nails and hammering and doors closed and little businesses, people trying to fix the insides. You know how you have a whole small business corridor of all kinds of different people, professional services, and any kind of small business that you can imagine. It's not in this business of tech and government procurement, but just doing their work. And they were all out of business. They were all trying to get on their feet. They had employees. And so the SBA has a 1% loan. And I said, there's some people that can't even get a 1% loan. And so I've introduced legislation for $1 billion grant to help individuals that have been impacted by disaster. That they can apply for a grant and get themselves back on their feet, because the business of America is business, and it is small business, and it makes a difference when you're working, because when you're working, you're uplifting the economy. You're the 3% growth. You're the 4% growth if it ever comes at 45%. You're making a difference, and so I'm very proud to be in this room with you. And I hope that we will continue to work together, and that there will be a pathway of opportunity, that this government is your government, and that we will soar into the economic engine of success together. God bless all of you. God bless the United States.
I'm almost nervous, and I can't even keep still in my seat, because we have someone who is extremely honorable, someone who is extremely dedicated to the business community and to our community in general. And knowing that business, small business is important, and mid-tier business is important to growing our community moving forward. And the importance of us being able to, through our tax dollars, compete for federal government contracts, and not just leaving it for everyone else to obtain and to enjoy and to create jobs from. So without further delay, I would like to introduce you to the Honorable Congresswoman Sheila Jacksson Lee. And if you're at home, I want you to applaud hard, stand on your feet, because she is one of the few in Congress who I've heard from so many people is truly dedicated to helping small, woman-owned, minority-owned, mid-tier business, hub zone business, every business where we can impact the community in a positive way. Welcome, Representative Sheila Jacksson Lee.
Warren, I'm delighted to be here with you, and congratulations on Set Aside TV, or this whole effort of empowering and engaging small women, minority-owned businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no sin in that. In fact, I said earlier this evening, business, small business, really is the business of America, because as I have visited with recent college graduates or college students, you know what the new profession is? I want to go into business. And for that reason, I think that we need to find ways of empowering small businesses, because they really do hire, I would say, a large percentage of Americans in this country. And frankly, probably in countries around the world, small businesses are a strong element of the economy.
Yes, thank you so much, Representative Lee. And I understand that you have had a successful run for the past 7 years in having meet and match forums. We just had one on the 22nd at the Convention Center here in DC. Tell us a little bit about that, and what is your focus, what is your vision for the future with that?
I believe in concreteness. we need to do something about our support for small business. So one thing I need to add is that in my legislative work, almost every agency that seeks funding, Sheila Jackson Lee has an amendment dealing with provisions for small business, meaning outreach. Give me the inventory of small business that you work with. Set-asides is not a terminology that we use, but to make sure that you engage small businesses, whether it's in research, whether it's in the DOD, the Department of Defense, whether it's in Department of Justice, whether it's dealing with grants or appropriations. I seek to ensure that there is some sentence in that bill about small, minority, and women-owned businesses so that someone's conscience is pricked about what am I doing for them? What door have I opened? What legitimate, legal, above-board door am I opening? So the idea behind the meet and match was just that. There is talent, but if the door is not open for the talent, or the information is not given, or the telephone number, or the person does not know a person who sits in a place of authority, then how can they grow their business with all of the talent that they may have? So in fact, we did a combination, corporations and the government, particularly the ones that are around the federal government, who themselves do business with the federal government. They are taxpayer dollars. So the defense industry, the aviation industry, the healthcare industry, the security industry, the cyber industry, the intelligence community, all of these are aspects of industry. The auto industry, I can't name just a huge number, along with the agencies, because we regulate those agencies. They operate on taxpayer dollars. They regulate individuals. So we brought this idea together under the umbrella of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, our annual legislative conference. We started 7 years ago. I'm very pleased to say that it's thriving, it's growing, but the most pride I have is the small businesses who've gotten a match. They've actually gotten a contract. They've gotten a relationship. And the urgency of the businesses, corporations, to compete, to see whether or not they can get something out of that meeting by having one or two or three that they will actually get a match with. It's a great excitement. I'm excited about it. I now chair the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. I'm very proud of that organization, 47 years old, a board that has a combination of business persons, corporations, small businesses, and an advisory committee with dynamic young leaders in corporate America. They are focused on diversity, in this instance African Americans, but our meet and match is open to all, as is the foundation. And this year I'm so excited. We had over 9,000 persons, 5,000 at our annual dinner that saw General Honoré as a speaker, and Michael Eric Dyson, two distinct different personalities. General Honoré talked about the business of hurricanes and damages and how you should get in there and get working. That's another aspect where small businesses can be so helpful. And then of course Michael Eric Dyson, of course, Michael Eric Dyson was in fact just dynamic. And then of course we had 3,000 people at our breakfast. But part of it is all of the sessions that involve small businesses beyond the meet and match, or individuals, where we gave information about how does this government work? How can you get around and in and around this government, whether criminal justice, whether healthcare, whether science, whether entertainment, whether taxes, whether financial services. We had it all. And I hope to invite you for next year.
I definitely will be. And I will attend. And you mentioned, one of the things I do is I teach networking. I have a class called From LinkedIn to Totally Connected. And the key to that is to find the common ground. And from what you just mentioned, Mr. Dyson is a constant visitor at my church. I attend Alfred Street Baptist Church.
I would think so.
Yes.
Dr. Dyson is stupendous and wonderful. General Honoré was exciting about creating that immediate response to disasters, which I believe that in certain places, the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we have not done it the way we should have done it. But again, small business has a very important role in all of this. And so that's how we started Meet and Match. It's still going on. Now it's under the umbrella of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. As I said, an organization that's 47 years old that provides millions of dollars of scholarships to young scholars and also mentorship, internships, fellowships with members of the United States Congress. So we're very proud of this effort.
Well, you know, I am proud of you. Let me ask you a question. Being such a leader, a powerful leader, how have the others on the in relation to the Congressional Black Caucus, how have they been able to follow your lead and take your leadership skills back to their districts and do the same or similar things that you're doing as it pertains to small business?
Well, the CBC, the chairperson of the CBC is Cedric Richmond, and we're all supportive of each other. We have our respective committees, and we all sort of draw from each other. And I would offer to say to you that our members are very concerned about the issues of small businesses, and they do go home and have their own designs, if you will, about fighting for small business opportunities in their own congressional district. We support each other's amendments and bills dealing with small businesses. And generally speaking, we sing off of one page that we want to empower small, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses to make a difference in the lives of those owners, the lives of the community, and the lives of America.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I noticed about you that I learned recently is through Shashrina Thomas is that you are a good taskmaster, not a tough one, but you make certain that all of your staff knows absolutely everything they need to know about small business, including obtaining their certifications, their what do you call it, the security clearances and things of that nature. What made you move to that level of engagement with them in terms of them going to the fullest extent of learning what they needed to know how to help other businesses or help businesses?
We need to be able to give back.
Yes.
And I believe in not holding back, but giving back.
Yes, ma'am.
And that means that whatever knowledge I have in the workings of the federal government, in the workings of corporate America, that is within the confines of the appropriateness of being a member of Congress, I give. So I'm going to push my staff. She was a deputy chief of staff, now vice president in a wonderful company, and Tricor, and has taken the information and she took it and worked for other members, and now she's in business, and that's important. Let's give back.
Yes.
What is how should I say it, a pathway to the future.
No question.
And that's what I believe. And I also believe in small businesses being a pathway to the future. I want them to grow. I want others to come behind them, and the only way you can do that is to make them prosperous.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to end on this word. The whole idea of this is to make you a success and to be prosperous, to grow your business, to hire other people, and to mentor other people.
That's it.
Why not? And these are taxpayer dollars that we all pay.
Exactly.
And there's no reason, if the government is going to provide an opportunity for procurement, if they are going to contract out services, they should be even-handed and fair with all of the people of the United States.
Absolutely.
Balanced and fair, and not consider it either untenable or impossible or inappropriate. Yes, you're supposed to work with the diversity of America.
No question.
That's a big yes.
I am so proud and honored.
Thank you.
Keep working hard, keep
Thank
the
you.
steady work and smart, and keep committed to the community.
I
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, Representative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Warren.
All
This is
right.
a great program. Thank you.